Hey fam, how you going? Hope you're doing well. This is the first episode of Lurk with Greelz, and through this series I plan to go on the lurk as I always have, catch up with old friends and re-engage with communities that I've worked in, find out what's happening now, talk about how things used to be, and talk about where it's going. So for the first episode I'm going to Risdon Vale, which is a suburb on the eastern shore, at the south side of Tasmania. And it's a suburb that's right next to Risdon Prison. That's pretty well known across the country. It's always had an interesting reputation from the people that are looking outside. So I want to go inside and show you what it's like, talk with the local people, have a yarn, find out, and spread the love. Big love, fam. Hey. I'm out here in old Risdon Vale. It's been a long time since I came out here. Oh, there's a couple of my old pieces. Check this out. Hey, this is one of the best productions we did back in the day. My man Daps did the background. Yeah, I'm stoked. It's not even capped. This is 2008. Fucking 16 years old, this one. Old Fuzzum. Yeah, Daps did the whole background. Ruins. Man, Ruins is a burner. He was doing burners like this when I was 16 years old. And there's my piece. I remember I was so hungover when I did this, and it was real hot, and I was sweating, and I just wanted to get it done. I tell you what, it's doing all right. Looking back, there's a few cutbacks, And Odious, my brother boy, with the backwards piece. Oh man, I was wondering if this would still be out here. And then we got Right One, absolute burner, king. We got Spire. We got Resin, we got Hash, and then Topsky, old Topsky. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I never really spent much time out in Risdon Vale when I was young. I first came out here because one of my mates got done painting and he got community service. And the community service linked him up with doing some graffiti out here in a positive way. And it opened the door for us and we got a bit of work doing these sort of murals. And it was the first time I sort of engaged with the community. Fucking hell, here's another one of my pieces. Check this out. Greelz 1. Look how faded it is. It's my birthday and I'll paint it when I want to. I didn't even realise I painted this on my birthday. Fuck. 2008, 16 years ago. That's hectic. Oh shit. We did this wall too. Man, my piece has been capped. Now, I used to write Fewy, P-H-E-W-Y. I wrote Few first, but then I met Fatty Few and he's like, yeah, don't do that. I did that Risdon Vale Kindy. My boy Odious. And that was my mate who writes Sire now, but he used to write Curse. He used to write Curse ADK. So it was ironic when, Cursor ABK blew up and he changed his word. Man, that's trippy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here with my mate Kirky. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good to see you, my bro.
Yeah, it's good to see you
It's been
too,
a while.
bro.
Been too long.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, anytime, mate.
So yeah, we're out here in Risdon Vale, Tasmania, and I guess we're just gonna have a yarn about the culture out here and just the way that the suburb that was built around the main prison here in Tasmania, how being so close to the prison affects the community around it. And
True.
And you grew up out here, eh?
Pretty much, man. Lived here on and off all my life. Like, wasn't born here, but yeah. Spent the best part of my life here, bro. Yeah.
Teenage years,
In pieces, yeah. Teenage years, man. Then, I stepped away for a little time there out the streets, but just keep coming back here, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Till I, eventually got a family and bought a house here 8 years ago.
Yeah, beautiful, man.
It's home.
Yeah,
it's home, bro.
100%. And what years were you like a teenager out in these sort of areas, and like what?
From a younger age, man, from probably 5 through about 12.
Yeah.
To start off with, and grew up over here. And back when I was around 17, 18, man, I moved back over this way again.
Yeah.
And I had a share house with the buddy up the road. And yeah.
For sure. What years were that?
Shit, man, now I'll show my age. So it would have been early 90s, man.
Yeah. Early 90s.
I was growing up with family over here down Poplar Road and that.
Yeah.
And then would have been towards the 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s, bro.
Yeah, for sure, bro. What was it like out here in the 90s?
as a kid, man, it was a great place. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I just remember just kids fucking everywhere, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was a widespread community, but everyone knew everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
And it was the days where kids were out working on bikes and doing stuff.
Exactly right, man. Exactly
yeah.
right. It was those days.
You weren't allowed at home. If the weather was good, get out.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Come home, the street lights are on.
Yeah,
that sort of shit.
up.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up as well,
Yeah.
man. Was there much, would you say there was much kind of like beef between different suburbs back then?
I wasn't old enough to understand the knowledge of it back then, man, but I did my later years, like in my later teens and such. And, you know, there's that beef between, like, the sort of Bridgewater, Risdon Vale sort of crew against, like, you know, the Rugby Clarabelle sort of crew. And
yeah.
There's always been those little rivals.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That mix around, but, you know.
For sure.
It never really affected me, man, because I was, you know, a bit of an everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I knew everybody, so.
Didn't fall into the tribal sort of.
There was no involvement for me, bro, no.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I did, you know, view a bit of it.
Yeah.
Up, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, yeah, I remember when I was young, there used to be, you know, big beef from Kingston area between the Glenorchy guys, and they used to meet at the showgrounds and punch on at the Hobart show. And, you know, it's quite interesting as we all grew up down here in different little pockets to see how the tribalism of humans, they all form their different groups. And because as humans, we need to find our tribe, you know what I mean? We need to find our pack, you know.
You follow them.
That's it. And then it's quite interesting that something like Bridgewater and Risdon Vale, even though that everyone lives in both, are pretty much the same sort of people, but just having those two words, that gives them enough reason to clash with each other. And
I suppose that's society's put that expectation on us, mate.
Yeah.
Like, in segregation from each other and what's expected from our communities, and you know, etc.
For sure. Yeah. Do you think that through all those times that there was a positive aspect of like a community within like the Risdon Vale boys sort of thing?
Man, the Risdon Vale, it's a community itself. Like, there's a stage there, man. Look, I was doing a lot of fundraising and community work down here at the school, and the local lads and that, like, when, you know, young teenage kids were starting going off the rails a bit, we got approached by a few families that, like, you know, what would we do, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, me and a good mate of mine, Doc, he passed away now, but yeah, fucking, we started up that non-for-profit boxing club, man, and seeing the positivity come through these kids was fucking huge.
Beautiful.
You know, so that was good, man. And you seen there's a crew of boys, man, that used to come there, like, you know, 10 or 15 of them, all best mates.
Yeah.
And they dedicated all to them. Like, it was really good to see, man. Really good to see.
Boxing seems to be definitely one of the healthier outlets down here in Tassie for the suburbs like that. I know, like, where I grew up, it was a similar thing. We were all at the skate park running amok, getting into trouble. And then they opened up a boxing club just next to the skate park, and it just all of a sudden we're in there training, we're in there, you know, sparring, we're in there running up and down the beach, you know what I mean? And
it gave them something positive, man, which, you know, was keep their minds active, you know what I mean? But then also without them realising, it's actually teaching them discipline at the same time as well.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's beautiful, man. How long did the non-for-profit boxing club go for?
Man, I think we ran for about 6 years all up, bro. So, yeah.
Beautiful, man.
2007.
Yeah.
11.
2011.
Yeah, there you go. So
yeah, cool.
I'm getting old with mine's slipping away a bit. Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with it.
But yeah.
Yeah, beautiful, man. And do you think, like, because it was quite interesting when I was in Risdon. I'd be, you know, just looking at the wall, thinking, "There's houses just over there." You know what I mean? Like, the only difference.
His family's watching TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and it was quite, you know, I found it very interesting because, mate, on the mainland, it's quite often you don't see jails close to suburbs.
Yeah.
You know, these days they're built way out, away from everywhere.
Yeah, segregated more so.
Now, do you think that, like, for people growing up in Risdon Vale, having the jail just there next door, do you reckon it was a good or a bad thing? Like, because in some ways you could say the jail's just there, you don't want to go there, but at the same time it's just there, so why not go there? It's just over the wall, you know. I suppose
that's all their perspective too. It's circumstantial, really, man. Like, you know, on whatever the kids go through at the time, I suppose.
Yeah,
like,
for
sure. It can't be generalised, I don't think.
No, you're 100% right.
I really, I mean, I do believe it would have been a big impact on certain members of the community. Yeah. But others, man, it would have made no difference.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it comes down to the personal role models in your life.
Yeah, your upbringing, etc., etc. Yep. Your lifestyle.
100%.
Yeah.
And for young fellas that are growing up with their dad in jail, well, they want to be where their dad is. So, you know, Yeah, it's a very good point, man.
Yeah.
I think we get very caught up in generalizing and, you know.
100%.
And that's it, like when I did the event out in Bridgewater last year, you know, Bridgewater has this label. And when I went out there and I met the community, I went out there with this kind of generalized idea of we're helping out the dodgy community. And the first thing that I learned when I got there was all the kids were like, nah, this is what we do for our community. We've got, you know, we've got a food thing over here. We've got this over here. And
yeah, there's a lot of positives out there. There is a lot of positives out there. And they content, I mean, not to toot your horn on us, but that did make a positive difference as well amongst the young community, man. Like, even my daughter, she travelled out there with friends for it. There's a lot of good programs out there as man with the PCYC. They do wonderful things. The Jordan River Community Centre. I volunteered there for 6 months.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, what I noticed with that event out in Bridgewater, it's quite interesting because we got so much pushback from the council and the police as well, because they instantly labelled as this is going to be violent. We're bringing young people together. And yeah, I was so proud at the end of that event because I reckon there was about 300 kids there and there wasn't one drama. There wasn't any altercations. All the kids had a good time. And that was a big eye-opener for me because I really, you know, and that's it. The other side of Hobart that never ventures out onto the eastern shore and comes out, you know, to Risdon Vale or Bridgewater, they see that, you know, the news only puts the bad headlines out there. So it ends up with this reputation.
100%.
And then when...
Get stigmatised, mate.
Yeah, that's it. So it's interesting. It seems that, like, even the negative influence that does happen out in places like this, it kind of comes from the other side of town pointing the finger. You know what I mean? And like, you know, like when someone goes, "Oh, you're a monster," you end up becoming a monster.
Exactly,
you know?
right.
Oh, they're dodgy. Well, we'll be dodgy then. You know what I mean? You want to look down on us?
Exactly
we'll
right.
Be exactly what you want.
Exactly right. It is a strong influence to the way people are acting. You know, mad on themselves. 100%. I suppose like anywhere though. Pardon me. It's like anywhere though, bro. Isn't it? Like as you said, Bridgewater gets labelled the same thing. Road McLaren vibe, man. Look, at the end of the day, man, it's places.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, I always was interested by the old term, the flannelette curtain. Remember that one?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
And like, it's interesting, the more I really research about the history in Tasmania, as well as ancestry, you know, and learn about certain families and where they come from, and, you know, as well, for the majority of the state that are here, that have been here for a while, will send out as convicts, you know, and we came out here with that shame to begin with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And as I was researching the history of the prisons, after they shut down Port Arthur, they had the main jail in the city.
Jail,
and then when they shut that down was when they built the prison out here in 1960, or 1950s, and they slowly transferred it all over. But yeah, a few of my friends that I made when I was in Risdon, they had been incarcerated every single generation since 1830.
I was stuffed.
You know, since their convict ancestor got sent out here. Their son went to jail, their son went to jail, and here we are 220 years later.
History's still repeating itself,
And as well, one thing that I noticed in the minimum section of Risdon Prison, they have the original Port Arthur convict bell still in there.
Oh, shit.
Dead set.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, you know, and I've got about, I think, 6 convict ancestors on my mother's father's side. And I'd walk to work in the prison kitchen in the morning, and I'd walk by and look at that bell and touch it. And I just think of like, fuck, I wonder how many of my ancestors touched that bell. Exactly, you know what I mean? And it really kind of gave a perspective on just, that kind of side of society. Because I know that when they changed the name from Van Diemen's Land to Tasmania, it was to try and hide that convict past, you know what I mean? And so I think it's beautiful, man, that in this community that is so close to having a look at, you know, that's where you'll end up. There's so much positive still.
Yeah, I suppose, like, you know, if people are allowed to, man, it's an easy trap to fall into to follow that history, like follow, you know, what's been done in front of them or been done around them, like, you know, it's an easy path for them to follow with they don't know anything else. Yeah,
100%.
I suppose it's where it's got to wake up this younger generation, man, and make them realise that they do have a choice. You know, they can break that cycle, man, like, you know.
Well, that's
give them something positive, like. I think we do a little bit more of that over here too now. There's not as much community-based stuff going on around here now.
Yeah.
Like, we do have the men's shed down the road, and like he does a bike club for the youth and that as well, which is a great program and shit. But, you know, and it's not that, like, you know, if we were to ask you to do a concert over here for such, like you did at Bridgewater, we're still asking something to everyone else. It's like, you know, it's what can we do here?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't get me wrong, that concert, bring that here's positivity, bro. Like, What else can we do?
Yeah, how can we empower the community from the inside?
Yeah, and allow them to do it themselves, man, rather than doing it for them.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think with the way that technology has advanced now, it's kind of ruined the community spirit in that sense? Because back in the day when you were a kid, you had to go outside and hang out with the other kids to get that social interaction. Where now we've all got the phones, everyone's a bit more isolated in their houses.
100%, man, definitely. I mean, but that's not just this suburb, that's everywhere, man.
Yeah, that's everywhere,
That's society, bro. Like the generation we grew up in, man, as you said, it was outside playing, mate. So as daylight was out, we're out.
Yeah, straight up.
We're gone, man, like, you know. And there's no, you want to find anyone, mate, you look for the lawn with all the bikes on, all the skateboards out the front, like.
Yeah.
And that's how you knew where people were.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you can follow their bikes and skateboards. Like, that's pretty cool.
It was a great upbringing, man. Like, and it's sad to see there's not much of that going on anymore, man. You know, it really is.
It's interesting because that's it with these phones. You know, they can isolate us, but they can also, if we choose to use them as a tool, and we can actually connect things up and make things happen more.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Do you think yeah, what do you think could be like some more positive things that the council and the, you know, the places that have the funding for these sorts of things, what could they do out here?
I don't know, man. Like it's up to the people, really. Like, you know, but it needs to be talked about. It needs to be brought open. Like, what can we do? And then how are we going to achieve that? And
do it out and not wait for the council.
Exactly. That's why I believe it should happen, man. Yeah,
I find that's a big problem with a lot of the community stuff and just with the government.
Yeah.
People are so expectant of the government and will happily sit around and whinge about how the government doesn't do anything for them, but they're not doing it for themselves.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly right. They're not making that stand to themselves.
Like,
man, like something like an annual skate comp or something down here.
Yeah.
Like there's a venue for it, man. It's got a great little skate park down there.
Yeah.
They've got a pump track down there. For, you know, they could hold a really good event there, man. It gives the kids something more positive to focus towards as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they're all interested, man. They're all doing it anyway. They're all talented little pricks that, you know, the back wheel and these things everywhere around here.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, you know, give them something to work towards every 6 months. You know, something like that, man.
There's one thing I've noticed about Risdon Vale. The fellas love their bikes out here.
Oh, man. Yeah. Surrounded by bush, which is great. Yeah. For the ones that use it.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, definitely, man. It's something like that. If we, you know, we organise a gig, like a non-profit gig or something like that, where there's a band or a DJ, like, get everyone involved, man. Like, everyone involved. And, like, get the kids who want to be a part of it to be a part of, actually, the organisation as well.
Yeah.
Of it. So, it's not just like, here's the event, come here and piss off.
Yeah.
It's like, be a part of it, man.
Yeah, help build it.
Be proud of it, and then that hopefully pushes them to want to do the same in the future.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I found really refreshing about the Bridgewater event is that, it was the community and the kids that the youth workers out there that were putting the event on. They were like, all right, we want you kids to be a part of it. So when Dundee and I went out there to talk about organising it, we were talking about it with the, you know, in a room full of teenagers.
Yeah, your audience.
That's it. Yeah. And it was so inspiring to me to meet all these young people that really understood the value in their community, regardless of the you know, the reputation that people talk about. These kids were so inspired to come together and put in that work to make something happen.
Which is brilliant, man. Which is brilliant. But yeah, I mean, if we can get more of that sort of thing happening, like as you said, man, we can get them involved in it. Fucking trumps, bro.
Yeah,
trumps.
That's where it's at, man.
Trumps.
Yeah, brother. Well, much respect, man. Thank you for having me. And
100%, man. Thanks for coming out to what I call home.
Yeah, man. It's a beautiful spot, and I'm gonna cruise around and suss it out and catch up with a few more people and get a few more perspectives and yeah, just talk about, because that's the thing, we can talk about the past and we can talk about how things were, but we need to start looking forward, you know what I mean? And we need to start talking more about things that people can do, and hopefully people that are watching this can get some inspiration and think, what can I do? Because, you know, due to my upbringing of traveling around when I was young, it helped me break the perspective of being trapped down here. And you know what it's like when people never leave Tassie.
Yeah, man.
They're just trapped on that island. They've only got one perspective. But when you can go outside and see different culture and different communities and people empowering themselves.
Broadens the horizon.
Yeah, and that's where I learned a lot about what I've done with hip hop down here. And, you know, hip hop it's a great tool for sharing and people connecting, and I think that's why, you know, the Bridgewater gig went so well.
Yeah,
is because what we're saying in our music is something that the kids are connecting with. And,
definitely, man. Yeah, it's a huge impact on the youth, man. Huge.
That's it. Well, thanks again, my bro.
Thanks very much. Thank
Appreciate
you,
you, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Legend,
Much love.
Heath Kelly, how you doing, brother?
Good, bro. How you going?
Yeah, good, man. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, when's the last time I caught up with you?
About 13 years ago.
13 years. Far out. Times change, eh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for catching up with me, bro. You grew up out here in Risdon Vale, eh?
Yep, whole time.
This house?
Yep.
Yep, this is the old family house, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And at the moment, we're right across literally across the road from the prison.
Literally.
Yeah. How do you think growing up across the road, like literally being able to see the prison when you walk out the front door, how did it affect your kind of your mentality growing up? Do you think like it was
a deterrent.
a deterrent?
Yep.
Yeah.
You look across the road, there's no holiday across the road there.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, maybe if it was on Mariah Island or somewhere different like that,
Yeah.
further away, it might have been not as much as it is, but yeah, it's a massive deterrent.
That's good.
You look across there and you go, well, do you really want to be there?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it worth spending the time there or out in the free world doing your own thing?
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, that's a positive, eh? It's quite interesting. I was talking to Kirky just about like, you know, the history down here, and most of us came from convicts, you know what I mean?
Pretty much.
And it's still, I think, a part of that culture
It's still
sometimes.
in the system.
Yeah, it's still in the system, and
Plus, it's drilled in your head every day. You know?
yeah, 100%.
Oh, convicts, you know.
Yeah. So the convict stain, they used to say.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it hasn't moved on.
No. It seems that like the more that they, the higher ups in the system have built up, they try and keep, you know, certain areas closed off and design that way, and they don't give much access to people to get out of it.
No, it's pretty. Once you're in the loop, you stay in the loop.
You're staying
stuck
in the
in
loop. For sure. And you grew up in a time out here where there was a lot more of a stronger sense of community, hey?
Oh yeah. So basically, if you did something wrong out here when you were a kid, didn't matter how petty or how serious it was.
Yeah.
The cops would catch it. They kick your ass, or the owner, or whoever you're doing to kick your ass. Then the cops kick your ass, and you get home. Your parents kick your ass. Your brother kick your ass. By the end of the day, you've had your ass kicked 5 times. You're like, this is not a fucking good idea, is it?
Yeah,
really?
for sure.
I might not do that again.
Yes.
You know, it's the learning process. That learning process isn't there anymore because the young fellas today don't have that fear. They don't have anyone standing over them saying, you know,
discipline.
Use your fucking brain.
You know? 100%.
It's just not a system that's installed as much these days. The old school people that live around here, their kids generally have, some of them moved on quite well.
Yeah.
But some have just gone downhill. But it's I suppose the way your parents install it too. You've got to have good morals.
Yeah.
To follow through it.
100%, and the right sort of discipline.
Yeah.
Because there's discipline where you can, you know,
Oh, there's respect and there's fear.
Yeah, respect and there's fear. That's exactly it.
You've got to be able to attune the two to work out what's perfect for the system that you're running.
And for your family as well.
And for your family as well. I mean, you're going to get the hard members of the family, the soft members of the family.
100%.
So you've got to use different levels with each one.
Yeah, for sure. I find that the word culture is interesting because it's like cult, but culture.
Yep.
And when you look at culture, and it grows through leadership, through that respect that you're talking about. Yep. But cults are led out of fear.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's kind of like.
But at the top of it, you've always got that command structure.
Yeah.
That's always if that command structure wasn't there, it'd be fucking chaos. You know, people would be fucking robbing each other and carrying on.
Yeah, for sure.
But you know, that structure is kind of like the fear of having the prison there. For some people in Risdon Vale, doesn't even worry them. They're just like, well, don't give a fuck. You know.
Yeah. Did you say many fellas were just like didn't worry about it because it was like just being across the road from home?
Well, not only that, also a lot of the time they don't. The government system doesn't follow through. So if they're doing something major, generally they get away with it. Okay, it's your first offence, good shit. But if you've done it 17 times, it's time to put a clamp on it.
Yeah.
You know, if you can't put a clamp on it in the prison system, which is where they get fucked up in the first place, they go in there and they spend time and they get into the mentality of the prison.
Yeah.
They come out and they go, oh, I can use that same mentality out here.
Yeah, exactly.
And run my own shit.
Yeah.
And then you've got gangsters popping up everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Plastic gangsters.
Yeah.
And that's a quite common trait.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to me, especially when younger guys go to jail, go to prison, they're much more susceptible to
the influence around you.
That's it. I was very lucky that I had hip hop,
you
know, and I remember when I was hanging out with my mates in town and they were getting ready to go do burgs and, you know, get caught up in it. Luckily, I had my rap show and I was like, I can't come with you fellas because, you know, I'm going to go do this and this means a lot to me, you know what I mean? And
so at the end of it, it's the process you take. You wanted to go further.
Yeah.
You've got to put that effort in.
That's it.
A lot of young fellas are like, fuck it, I'll do a burg, steal a fucking car, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Bang.
for sure.
Easy done for them.
And it's, I think, because I had that hip hop, but that kind of came from having an outside perspective of the local area where I grew up. And do you feel sometimes that there's not enough opportunity outside of here? Because we all want to climb our social ladder.
The opportunity's there.
Yeah.
You've just got to be able to see it.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time, a lot of kids around here don't see it because it's clouded for them. They can't understand why they can't get ahead.
Yeah.
Or they just feel like the opportunities are not there, but they are there. There's hundreds of people own business over here that will grab a local kid before they grab someone else.
Yeah, for sure.
And that local system, that community system, that's worked for a long time, and it's been quite successful. But it's had its downfalls as well. I mean, people have falling outs, and things don't go all the way that they think, or they're sick of doing brickies labouring or whatever. They want to move forward. The only way you can move forward in the world is to process yourself forward. Otherwise, you're just stuck in the same. You're stuck back in the loop again.
Yeah, into the cycle.
Yeah,
for sure, man.
And that cycle, that's in any system in the world. That's the same cycle that works everywhere with everyone. It doesn't matter where you grew up or how you started. Leaving kids in Sandy Bay get a hard run,
Yeah, for sure.
When their parents are on to them about getting high marks at school and things like that. We had the same thing when we were kids, but if you failed, at least you had that home support.
Yeah.
Now a lot of kids don't have that home support. They just go, fuck it, I'll go and hang around with everyone else and go fucking back into the loop again.
Yeah. So it all comes back to the family unit, really.
Yeah, it does. Otherwise, other outside influences tend to change it a bit, but it's generally the family that keeps you on the card.
Yeah, keeps you strong. It's like when you're grounded in your family, within your community, it's like your roots are in the ground, which makes it easy for the tree to withstand the storm.
This is true, and around here, because everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
Back in the day, if you fucked around, 20 people knew what you liked, they'd all be onto you.
Yeah.
Every time you see them, you'd walk down the road, you need to stop fucking doing this. Right, okay,
Yeah,
everyone's onto me, you couldn't go to a barbecue, couldn't go to a friend's house, it was always that thing.
It's like community accountability.
Pretty much. They're like your judge, jury, and execution.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel that the more we evolve with like phones and technology, that we're getting more isolated and we're losing that core community because it had to be in person? You had to go, like... A
lot of the older generations are gone.
Yeah.
Like my parents, they're both gone. They had a pretty high influence over here, and a lot of other people's parents had influences over here, but that influence is slowly dying off. So it's left to the generation after them to push on.
Do you think as well, the more that we get access to kind of like outside influences, like hip hop, for example, gangster rap, what I mean? Like gangster rap is definitely like I've noticed in my journey with fellas on the street, there was Tupac that they were looking up to, that they wanted to replicate that gangster life. Do you think as it got, because you would have grown up in the time and you watched all that come in, hey?
Oh mate, pretty much, because I was in the era that it all started. So we grew up with all Ice Cube. Yeah. You name it, man.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Just one of those things. It was part of life.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
It did influence us, but it didn't make you want to carry a fucking pistol around to shoot people or anything like that.
Yeah, for some.
Some people just fucking do it with their hands,
Yeah, and some people just, I think, it's interesting when you've got that more solid family unit. Yeah. And it's being led with leadership and respect rather than the fear. Yeah. You're looking up to that person. But if you're in a situation in that family unit where it's, led by fear, and you don't want to follow down that
you want to take a different path.
And then all of a sudden you're watching these movies, you're listening to this music, and then you're like, oh, well, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, it really depends on how you perceive things at the start. If you perceive it as, oh, fuck, that's wicked, and I just want to be like that, then fall for that. But if you really listen to the music, you'll find that a lot of the music's actually telling you a story.
Yeah, 100%.
The kids don't listen to it, like the younger generation don't listen to it like that. They're just like, it's just fucking words getting fucking thrown around like that.
And it's interesting because I think, like, if you listen to the early hip hop that came in when you were young, it was so much story driven. And if you listen to the popular hip hop now, there's no story in it anymore. What they just say kind of like this trendy word and this trendy word. It doesn't all add up. No. Do you know what I mean?
It needs to be like poetry.
Yeah.
Because people listen, they're going to listen to shit like that. They're not just going to listen to fucking random words thrown together.
Exactly.
And that's like a lot of it, as you know for yourself. It all comes from the heart and the mind. The experiences you've had over time help you thrive to make more lyrics for you, basically.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've noticed with myself, like, So writing your own lyrics, whether it's talking about your past or writing what you want to do in the future, it can really change your direction, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you manifest something and you've got a goal, and the more that you focus on that goal, if you write it down in your music, this is what I'm going to do, and you put that song out, then you're more likely to move forward and do it because you're holding yourself accountable to what you're saying.
Exactly,
you know?
right. Otherwise, you're just known as a bullshit artist.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of what I'm doing with this vlog. Like, I'm trying to improve my personal life. You know what I mean? And the more that I kind of share with people and tell my story and hear their story for where they're at in life, not only does it help, it helps the people that I'm sharing with and yourself.
Kind of give insight on things, what's going on in the world.
It's a bit of like community accountability again. You know what I mean?
And it's not controlled by the fucking media.
No, that's it. And it's the beauty of this.
They don't cut all the bits you don't like.
Exactly, yeah. And you know, I don't have to worry about that red tape.
Yeah.
Because I think a big part of what doesn't actually get told about the powerful aspects of these communities is that the media are the only ones that get to comment on it.
Pretty much.
And you know, and this is what I noticed. I was saying to Kirky when I was at the Bridgewater event that we put on.
Yeah.
And you know, so many people on the internet had bad shit to say. And then when we went out and did it, 300 kids came together. It was positive. There was no violence. There wasn't any altercations.
They've actually got to see it for their eyes.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to people just talking shit, saying they're going to do something, nothing ever happens. Because politicians have been doing it for fucking how long?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And yeah, I feel it's a bit of a problem in our country is that we manifest shit times. Like, for example, I was in the mall the other day and we were filming a video clip for a couple young fellas that are really going hard at the moment, and they're rapping in the mall, we're filming it, and this lady walked past and she went, "Oh, are you making a documentary about how boring Hobart is?" And I was like, "We're out here trying to do stuff." I was like, "You're making it boring."
Things are
you know what I mean?
Things are only as boring as you make them.
Exactly. You know, they manifest the boredom.
You don't see fucking, you know, if you go up the bush for a walk, it's not fucking boredom. You're not there because you're bored. You're there because you want to see, you want to learn, you want to feel.
Yeah.
And feeling's a big thing. If you can't feel it, you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's where 90% of kids today, they're just electronic driven.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, that's it.
My young fella, he's electronic driven the whole time, you know.
100%.
But, you know, the minute you get him out the bush, bang,
you watch it change.
Watch it all change.
100%. I think a lot of the anxiety that kids are having these days really comes from just being so deep and getting that feeling.
Programmed.
Yeah, it's programming, and it's like it's synthetic.
Yep.
It's not real, you know.
Well, it's no different. Like in the 90s when I grew up, they were trying to push you to wear certain clothing and do this and do that, and everyone wanted you to be a certain way.
Yeah.
You never go with the thread that everyone else wants. You go half of what your family wants and what you want in life. Otherwise, you get out the other end, and you're like, this is not what I want to fucking do.
Yeah,
I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, that's powerful, man. Thank you so much for sharing, Heath.
Not a problem.
Appreciate it, brother.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I look forward to next time.
Next time.
But yeah, I've been out here in Risdon Vale and I caught up with a few locals, and I've had a chat on and off the camera, you know what I mean? And yeah, Risdon Vale always copped a bad reputation, you know, because it was the suburb where the prison was. And yeah, after coming out here and catching up with a few of the old school heads, it reminded me of an old school way of community that just doesn't really exist anymore. You know, there was a very staunch aspect to it. And because it was an isolated community from a lot of the other, you know, suburbs and away from the city on the other side of the river, they definitely developed their own sort of law in the sense where people were held accountable to their actions by the community. And it's really something that we don't do anymore. I feel that, yeah, it's definitely a part of, the more that we rely on the government and the more that we rely on police and the more that we rely on different sort of shit, people have kind of lost that sort of community staunch accountability, you know what I mean? I'm here with a few of the local lads here in Risdon Vale. What's your name, brother?
Blade.
Blade? I'm Greelz, bro. Nice to meet you, man. What's your name, brother? I noticed all you guys are rocking Hoodrich. Yeah, it seems to be the trend these days, eh? Why do you rock that?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you see it on the internet?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah? Who rocks it on the net?
There's a few like rappers and that.
A few rappers.
From the mainland.
Yeah. You listen to much Tassie hip hop at all?
Yeah, well, my cousin's still Muse.
Oh, there you go, Musey. Yeah, he's got a new song out that's going off, eh? Yeah, that's cool, brother. Yeah, I've been catching up with some of the old school fellas out here and having a chat about Risdon Vale and what it was like back in the day compared to what it's like now.
Yeah.
How do you find living in Risdon Vale now?
That's not bad. Few like little scums trash in the place though.
Yeah, yeah. How do you? What do you think is a way that like we can hold these fellas accountable to it? Don't know. That's for sure. Man. Do you guys go into town much, or do you stay out here in Risdon Vale?
I'll go to town a bit.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah. Is there much for you guys to do out here in Risdon Vale?
Not too much really.
Not too much. What would be like? What would be like? They've got a big hall over there. What do you think would be some good good ideas about making stuff that can get the community involved? What would be some good stuff that you guys like to do?
Party.
Party? What? How do you party?
Dance.
Dance? Yeah. Right. Is there any sort of dancing classes out here or anything?
Yeah.
They do have dance class out there, like gymnastics and stuff like that.
That's good. That's good to hear. So Dale, do you think growing up out here with the jail right there, do you find it as encouragement to stay out of trouble? No?
Doesn't really change much.
Doesn't change much? Like, do you feel that a lot of fellas get into trouble because if they go to jail, they're only just over there? Do you think they don't care about going to jail because it's just right next door?
Well, I wouldn't really know, but I don't reckon that would be a thing because a lot of people from around here get in trouble and then it's just like
Yeah. Do you think it's a bit of a cycle? You know what I mean? Of like the way that people kind of get caught up in it, and once they start doing it, and then they just go there, and it's only next door, and they come back, and it's easy to do because it's close.
Yeah. Some people it's like it would be with that, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, brother. How about you personally? With it just being there, do you feel like, well, no, fuck that, I'm not going there?
No, I just don't do no crime to do that shit.
Good on you, brother.
Crime on top.
Huh?
Crime on top.
What?
Crime on top.
Crime on top, you reckon?
You're a wanker.
Why do you reckon crime on top, brother? Huh? Don't know. Did you hear that somewhere? Do you think you're just repeating what you've heard somewhere else? You know what I mean? Or did you come up with crime on top? What do you think, like, what's crime for you?
Everything.
Everything. Just getting caught up in it. Why do you want to do crime?
See what's like a job.
So to see what it's like. Is it because there's no other opportunities out here?
Yeah, there's nothing really to do.
Yeah. Do you think if you like, for example, when I was young and I was hanging in the streets and I was getting caught up in crime, I had hip hop and rap. So that was the one thing that made me want to stay out. If you guys had something that you like to do, that you had access to, do you reckon that would like give you something else to focus on rather than seeing what it's like in jail? Yeah. Guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So Risdon Vale was built in the 60s. It was a working class suburb. It was pretty cheap to come out here and get a house for families that were, hard workers. And it seems to me, the old school really had this hardened soul to it. It was a strong community back in the day. Tough as fuck. I remember hearing stories about, the toughest bloke in Bridgewater would drive down, knock on the front door of the toughest bloke in Risdon Vale, to have a crack, have a shot at the title, you know what I mean? And they came with that old school sort of, that fighting mentality. But it seems that the more I yarn with people, there was definitely a positive aspect that held the community to accountability. And the more that things change, it's very interesting, Hey, rest in peace, young fella. It's very interesting as we get older and morals and discipline changes, And since the 60s to the 80s to the 90s, the 2000 era, it really seems that a lot of that moral of discipline is starting to disappear and the influence is changing. Even the kids down here, this is the thing with cultural cringe, and it happens in Australia. Australia looks to America and it looks to England for its influences, especially in hip-hop and music and culture and that sort of stuff. And down here in Tassie, it's got its own little cultural cringe. So, you know, a lot of kids down here, they don't even listen to Tassie rap, and they listen to the mainland, you know what I mean? It's very interesting to see. I think it is a thing in Australia across the board that we kind of cringe at our local community, and it comes with that tall poppy syndrome and that you know, that shame of being yourself. Because, you know, as soon as you put yourself out there, oh, he's on himself, oh, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that. If you look at the early stages of Australian politics, that's why voting became compulsory. Because back in the day, when politicians in Australia would put themselves up for elections, everyone would be like, this cunt's on himself, I'm not fucking voting for that cunt. Oh, he thinks he's going to be this. And no one would vote for anyone because there was such a strong tall poppy syndrome, you know what I mean? Now, after the First World War, Australia was allied with England closer than it was in America. But after the Second World War, Australia changed its allyship. And so not only did our culture change politically, but it also changed with influence. It's pretty interesting, especially when you're seeing these kids once again down on this small island in the bottom of the world. You know, that's their influence. They get caught up on this gangster shit. And if we take it way back to when you know, these people decided to promote gangster rap at a higher level till it reaches the other side of the world, this is what the kids are replicating, you know what I mean? Here I am walking by Risdon prison. Drone rules apply. You're allowed to have drones out here. I remember I was in jail and I was telling the fella about how we make video clips with drones. He went, you got a drone? I went, nah, mate, I ain't dropping no dead pigeon full of drugs into prison, brother. Not me. But it's an interesting one in Tassie because there is only one prison on the whole island. And, you know, with the increase of crime and the trend of crime and, you know, crime becoming a thing, like even the kid I was talking to, he goes, crime on top, you know. It's kind of like, and he even said, I want to see what it's like in jail. And one thing I've realized when I was in jail down here was that it's the bottom of the barrel, in the sense of like, all the worst cunts on this island all come to the same one prison. And yeah, it's a blowout. You know, like I remember once upon a time, I did a few concerts at Rebels Clubhouse. And then I went to go catch up with another mate for his birthday, and he was having it at an Outlaws Clubhouse. And when I went there, they said, "No, mate, you can't come in. You're a Rebels affiliate." I was like, "Okay, no worries, all good." But then when I got into jail, I was having lunch with the Rebels president and the Outlaws president at the same time, and I was just like, this tribalism is so interesting, you know what I mean? In the way that we find our tribe and then beef with the other tribes, especially in the crime world, because we all end up in the exact same place at the fucking end of the day. You know, if you're watching this and you sincerely think that, you know, crime is fucking cool, or you want to see what it's like in jail, trust me, it's shit. You just end up in the fucking same place. And if that's your attitude, that's where you're going to end up. And if you got enemies and if you got people you're beefing with that are living the same life, you're going to end up living with your enemies. You know, during the circumstances that I went through that put me in prison, you know, I felt really guilty. You know, my whole community knew what I'd done. There were people talking all sorts of shit about me. I felt ashamed, you know. So I decided before I went in that I'm going to try and make this a positive experience, you know what I mean? And I really want to try and use the skills that I learnt in my travels as a young fella to really try and give some perspective to a lot of these guys that grow up in these areas and they don't get that perspective. It's really, perspective is where it all changes. If you can see outside the box and then think outside the box, even when they put you in a box, you can change your situation. You know what I mean? You can take yourself from feeling like you're a victim, because a lot of these kids are just products of their environment. Once again, it's the culture. And if we can't build the culture around them as a community by actually sticking together, by actually learning how to build that community vibe, if we all just isolate in our houses where we just stay on our phones and we don't talk to our neighbours and we don't talk to people in the street, the more that you're going to have more people moving in, and the more it gets gentrified, the more segregated it's going to get individually. And that's where you lose the community, you know. I really appreciated talking to Heath and just hearing how much he, yeah, you know, how much he really kind of took it upon himself to make sure that there was still a moral or morale being held up in his community. Because, yeah, the more that we rely on police, the more that we rely on the protection that comes from the government, the more that we just give up on doing it ourselves. You know, I see all the kids in the street all the time. Yeah, the bus is honking at me. I see all the kids in the street all the time, and no one talks to them. Everyone keeps walking past them and avoiding them. And then you see everyone on Facebook going, well, what about child protection services? What about this? Also, what about you? As a part of your community, what are you doing to acknowledge these young people and plant those seeds with them to kind of try and lead them in the right direction? You know what I mean? So wherever you live in your community, go out there, make people feel acknowledged. The more that people don't feel acknowledged, the more disconnected they feel, and the more likely they're going to get caught up in the crime. You know, every person in this prison has been disconnected from their community at some point and not held accountable by a larger group of people. And that's where you think you can get away with shit. You know, before I went to prison, I got into a lot of fights when I was younger. And no one really held me accountable. I got an assault charge, you go to court, you know, whatever. That good behaviour, until you actually experience going into prison, that good behaviour doesn't mean much, you know what I mean? It's just an idea to a lot of these young people, you know. But in any situation where you're a product of your environment, or you're a victim of your environment, and you don't like the way things are, you have the power to create and get yourself out of that situation. You know, the positive side of technology is you can change the world with the phone in your hands if you're smart and you're clever with it. You know, we have access to more information than ever before. We have access to a network of the world. You can, you know, before the internet was available, you were stuck down in these places and you needed to work jobs to get out, you know what I mean? But now we have the power of the internet, which is, once again, it's splitting up the community in certain ways, but at the same time, there's ways to empower. I'm using the internet right now to try and shed light on this, you know what I mean? So I think it's a mix, it's a tool, and we have to find the balance. We have to find the duality of this technology that is available to us now. You know, we need to use it to build, use it to empower, but we also need to do it in the real world. Because if we just stay on the internet, everyone just doesn't look at it like, you know, I walk down the street and I'm the type of person that says hello to everyone if I walk past them, and nobody does anymore. And I guess everyone, you know, there's a lot of fear. That's the other thing. We see so much shit on the internet. And then if we see someone that looks like the person on the internet that did the thing, and then we're like, oh, I won't look at them because they're going to do what the person I saw on the internet. And when you judge people, once again, if you don't acknowledge them, that's when they think, well, fuck you. You know? And they're more likely to become what you're judging them. If you think someone's going to be like this, there's a good chance they're going to end up becoming like that. It's manifestation. And if we manifest, you know, if we manifest that people are scums and people are shit and people are whatever, and we're not going out of our way to make a good connection with them and be nice to them and empower them, you know, I feel like a lot of these kids don't get that confidence because it's not really pushed into them at a young age. You know, we need to encourage these kids to have that confidence, to speak their mind as well, speak their truth. You know, shutting kids down there's discipline, don't get me wrong, but once again, you need to have discipline, strong discipline with love, I think. Yeah, strong discipline with love. It's that duality once again. Because if we just discipline with staunchness and we discipline with, you know, that fear, kids will end up going, fuck you, I ain't listening. But if we're given that love as much as we're given that discipline, hopefully it can make a difference. Yeah, when I was inside, I wrote a song called Square One. And it was in the first bit of the stint that I did. Because what happened was I got sentenced fuck all. And while I was serving that, I wrote Square One for all the boys. And then they appealed. So I got out for a week and then they sent me back for the same sentence. But in that week, I managed to record the song. And literally the day I got out, I went straight to the studio, recorded the song. The next day I came back out here and we filmed the video clip. And before I got out, I had this all planned. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out, record the song, and the next day at 10 AM, I'm gonna be up on the hill across the road, and I wanna get all the boys in the yard for the video clip, you know what I mean? So, managed to do it. The next day, came out here, filmed a video clip, and we got all the fellas sitting in the yard holding up a big banner. And yeah, it was a special time where I feel like I empowered a lot of the fellas, you know, showing them that they can think outside the box, you know what I mean? Because they were all in the box, and I wanted them to kind of understand what's the power of creativity and what you can do. If you have a look here, that's medium right there. You can see the walkway, you can see the basketball court. Trees are kind of in the way. It looks like they're all locked down at the moment. There's Burberry up the back there, right next to the gym and the oval. But yeah, once again, trust me, you don't want to see what jail's like. It's fucking shit. Look at it. It's fucking shit. You know, don't get me wrong, there's a bit of novelty, but that wears off real quick. And you're like, oh, I'm fucking stuck here. Oh, this is fucking trash. That first month is fucking rough, you know. You're fucking detaching from the world. You haven't got any social media. You're coming down off whatever drugs you're on. It's fucking putrid. And then on top of that, you're fucking in a triple up with smelly cunts and dirty mattresses and fucking cunts with no teeth, so everyone's breath stinks and it stinks up the cell. It's fucking putrid. It's horrible. So to the young fella I was talking to, if you're watching this, brother, I hope I can make an impact on you, you know. I hope that through meeting you young fellas and giving you respect in your neighborhood and telling you a bit of my story and my experience, it's fucking putrid. You don't want to do it. And that's it. Once you get caught in it and you're stuck in there, and all of a sudden your mates are in there, and then, you know, fellas will try and get you involved in more crime. And then you get caught deep into the life of it, you know what I mean? It's a hard one. Because a lot of this crime comes from pain. A lot of it comes from trauma. And when people can't empower themselves, they'll get aggressive, they'll get angry, they'll get miserable. And misery loves company. You know, some people will try and keep you down on their level. Challenge yourself to grow. Coach yourself. Take each step at a time. You got to take the challenge first and then keep coaching yourself and then create new opportunities, new ideas, new ways that you can empower yourself to get out of the situation you're in. Heath is a great example of a fella that grew up in a rough environment. But after yarning with him, he's one of the smartest fellas I've met in a long time. Very switched on. And I was so impressed by how smart he was, so intelligent, you know. And yeah, it just goes to show that sometimes your environment can be a massive influence on you, but sometimes you just got to stand staunch and go against the grain and create your own world, become your own person, you know what I mean? Build yourself up in the right way. There it is. That's the road that the prison truck drives up. When you get out, you walk down there and you come to the bus stop. Catch a bus to get your way into town, you know. As if you're not lucky enough to have someone picking you up. Oh yeah, couple cheekies. Couple cheekies. Yeah, I haven't been to this bus stop since I filmed Square One. That's Risdon Vale. And you know what? I think we're at a time and place in history with technology that you can do whatever you want to. You got to believe in yourself and you can't limit yourself. It's one thing I learned from Heath. He was a fella that never limited himself and he pushed himself. And he grew up in a hard environment that made him do that. And I think sometimes we blurred the line between hard and dodgy, you know what I mean? Because there is still a positive side to that old school schoolish that keeps people in check, keeps people accountable. But there's not much accountability anymore. You know, the internet has changed the way that we live. Like here I am talking to myself at a fucking bus stop to a GoPro, you know what I mean? But once again, it's a tool, and if we're going to use it, we need to use it to empower ourselves. I see a lot of young fellas committing crime and filming it and putting it on Instagram and tagging their mates that they did the crime with, you know, and they're getting themselves busted. And the more that we promote this shit, the more that it happens. And trust me, like, it's not just the people, the industry does it. Triple J played my music more when I was in prison than when I was out. Wasn't very encouraging, Triple J, you know. And I think a lot of the media realizes they can benefit off the hype of crime. That's what the news does. They don't put good news on there anymore, do they? Here's my bus. Much love, fam.